Hello and welcome to Global News Factory. I'm your host Vikrant. We're covering two topics in this video. First, we talk about the peace plan being pushed by the US. We have now clear reasons to believe that this plan is just a time buying exercise, and both US and Ukraine are actually trying to make a fool out of Russia. Lots of developments are happening in Kiev that prove that this peace plan is nothing but a vicious strategy to dodge accountability. And then we discuss how stupid government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi has destroyed India's fighter jet program by over-reliance on American tech. It is Friday, it is time to grill Delhi. Let's start. For 2 days straight, and even tracking Ukraine has been drowned in headlines about a brand new peace plan pushed by the US. It is everywhere, it is glowing, it is dramatic, and it does one magical trick. It makes the Mindich Gate corruption scandal vanish from the front page. No more daily outrage, no more awkward questions. The spotlight has moved to this peace plan, and that shift is a big warm blanket for Zelensky's government and his powerful chief of staff, Andriy Yermak. Convenient, right? So I'm not going to waste your time and my time with line by line peace plan talk because I believe that peace plan is useless as long as you keep Zelensky in the loop. You keep Zelensky in the driver's seat. He has not rejected this plan, sure, but he is playing the polite game. He says, oh, Ukraine has its own red lines. He says he will add his own inputs. Translation? Thanks, but we will see. Meanwhile, something else is happening behind the curtain. Ukraine is using the glitter of this plan, of this peace talk, to clean up the mess at home. We have developments to share, big ones. Stay tuned. First, the timing. Why did US suddenly bend towards Russia's demands right when the corruption scandal exploded in Ukraine? Even Russian side, the Russian envoy Kirill Dmitriev looked surprised. He said, I'm quoting, "We feel the Russian position is really being heard this time," unquote. When the other side says, wow, you're really listening, you know something unusual is cooking. And then comes the eyebrow raiser, Rustem Umerov. Yes, the same Umerov who is mentioned in Mindich Gate, who went underground for 5 days straight. He was part of the consultations in Washington. Why would the US bring him into any peace plan? Why? This is like inviting the smoke to join your fire safety meeting. And wait for it. Jared Kushner walks in, Trump's son-in-law, the dealmaker from the Middle East. Suddenly, we hear that Steve Witkoff is being taken out from the US side and Jared Kushner is being brought in. Why? What special business flavor is the Trump family looking for in Ukraine? This is not a charity bake sale. If Kushner is in, you can bet the dough has yeast. Now ask a simple question. Is ending the war in Ukraine right now good for the US? Think about it. The US is selling weapons to Ukraine, is minting money. The US is also using secondary sanctions on Russia to push its energy into more markets. Reminder, the US just won a big LPG deal from India under a 1-year contract. Would that have happened without those secondary sanctions? Very unlikely. The war keeps the sanctions strong. The sanctions open doors. The doors lead to business. If the war ends, the US has to drop the secondary sanctions. And if the sanctions go, my friends, the bargaining chip disappears. You don't throw away your best card in the middle of the game unless you are planning a different game. Also, look at how the plan was rolled out. An agreed peace plan is not made public like a movie trailer. You don't put it on a billboard before signatures are dry. This one has bits that Russia is never going to accept with a happy face. It even tries to legalize confiscation of Russia's frozen assets. That is a huge ask, not a small footnote. And the showstopper, oh, it is point 27. It says, I'm quoting, this agreement will be legally binding, its implementation will be monitored and guaranteed by a peace council chaired by President Trump. Violations will be subject to sanctions, unquote. So, Trump chairs the Peace Council and sanctions are the stick. If this peace plan becomes effective, it will reduce Russia to a subordinate to Trump administration. Russia will never accept this. What does it look like from here? It looks like Ukraine and the US. They're playing games. They're playing chess with Russia while everyone else is forced to guess the rules. The plan is a distraction. It keeps cameras busy, keeps panels talking, and buys time. And the time is being used at home inside Ukraine to handle Mindich Gate, the Mindich scandal. Now, the fresh updates. An insider page on Telegram, Resident, says that Andriy Yermak wants to use Trump's peace plan to settle the ongoing fight with Nabu, and to silence dissent at home. He has prepared cases against every deputy. Whoever openly fights the president will feel the pressure from the SBU. Today, Zelensky will try to contain the Mindich Gate scandal and push the attention away from the presidential office, away from Yermak. If you cannot remove the fire, you install louder music. Yermak has another move. He plans to play delay. If you remember, after the Alaska summit, these same delaying tactics were deployed. These tactics helped Ukraine dodge American pressure and cook up a new response with the EU to counter Trump-Putin ideas. So expect the same playbook. Don't reject Trump's plan outright. Smile, nod, and then shift focus to secondary drafts and conditions and technical details. You stretch the talks for months. So what does US get? Time to keep the sanctions power alive. Time to keep selling. Time to keep options open. What does Ukraine's leadership get? Breathing room. Zelensky fights to save his chair. Yermak rushes to crush dissent. The peace plan becomes a stage prop. Let's be honest, if you wanted real peace, you would not float a draft that tries to bless the seizure of Russia's frozen assets. My friends, in short, the peace plan is the shiny object. The real story is survival politics. So keep an eye on this plan. Keep the other eye on the house cleaning inside Kiev. It is a plan for time, and right now, time is the most valuable weapon in this war. Moving on, let's talk about a tough question with a simple answer. What happens when you build a fighter jet that leans too much on American tech? It learns the gravity the hard way. It kisses the runway. And that is what we saw today in Dubai. India's homemade Tejas went down during a demonstration at the Dubai Air Show on Friday. Painful moment, yes. Embarrassing moment, yes. A moment the whole country felt in the stomach. Now, before this crash, there were whispers about an oil leak, and then came loud denials. The government in Delhi called it propaganda. So the rumor mills spun. The audience watched, and now we are here looking at a jet that should have flown high and instead met the ground early. Even the pilot could not eject, and he died instantly. So here is the interesting bit. Tejas runs on a GE aerospace engine. 4 years back, India signed a deal with GE for 99 GE F404 engines, price tag 716 million US dollars. Big order, big promise, but the engines did not arrive on time. Deadlines slipped, tempers rose. In October last year, Delhi even talked about penalties for these repeated delays. GE blamed supply chain pressures, but many in India raised questions. Were these delays just bad supply chains or were they pressure tactics? Arm twisting? A not so gentle way to slow down India's own aircraft dreams. And this is where policy meets reality. Because of poor foresight from the Modi government, India's indigenous fighter jet program now depends on GE's schedule. Not our schedule, not HAL, which is India's jet maker, not their schedule, GE schedule. Tejas Mk2 also stands in the same line. Even India's planned fifth generation stealth fighter is tied to US engine supply. Why do our officials keep picking American engines? The one word answer people throw is corruption. Top bureaucrats, they say, act like lobbyists for American firms. They wave away Russian and French options with a shrug and a memo. Take one example. For Tejas, the Russian Klimov RD-33 was on the table, but officials in Delhi said no. Too smoky. Oh, it is too smoky, not reliable. Imagine that. Officials, they became climate warriors. Oh, save the air. While the aircraft program waited for parts. This over-reliance on US has turned our Air Force into a global punchline laughingstock. 10 years wasted, 10 years of snooze mode by this lazy Modi administration, and we have the results now. With a crash in Dubai and a long queue for engines, it is a harsh scoreboard, my friends. But now the plot is moving. We are hearing about deals with Russia for the Sukhoi 57, that is Russia's fifth generation stealth fighter. And here is the key. Russia says it will give full tech transfer, not just planes, know-how, tooling, support for India's fighter needs. A partner that says, let's build together. Moscow has been a steady supplier for decades. Through good times, through bad times, sanctions, through friendly handshakes and angry press conferences. Always there with spares and workarounds. When the West slammed doors, it imposed sanctions. So what should India do now? Learn the lesson. Stop living on borrowed engines. Bring the supply chain home. Work with partners who do not hold the plug. Move forward with the Sukhoi 57 deal if it secures real technology, real production, and real independence. Because one crash is bad, but a crash in strategy is worse. We do not need a jet that only flies when Washington nods. We need a fleet that flies when India decides. And that's all for now. Thanks for joining. You're watching GNF.